Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Inde Navarrette about season 2 of Superman Lois on the CW. Welcome back to the show. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's welcome. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty cool because, when we talked last time, it's a new show, familiar characters, but, characters like Sarah, people don't really know about them and everything. Now it's like 2 seasons of playing this character. Are you starting to get a grasp of this character, or are you still learning things every day?
Oh, I'm still learning things every single day. Sarah is so sporadic. She's so, my God, she kind of I'm definitely learning things as she's learning them of herself, which I think is a total testament to every 14-year-old girl. But I think specifically for her, she kind of knows, she's learning a lot, I think I would say.
Oh, absolutely. A lot happened in season 1, and we didn't waste time for season 2. When you were kind of getting the scripts and kind of getting a feel of what was happening for season 2, was it a different mindset from season 1, or was it still the same excitement, kind of ready to go back to work?
Oh, personally?
Yeah, personally or just in general?
Oh, no, I loved the idea of getting back to work. I mean, we finally were able to kind of come back with a little bit more levity after, getting to go home and see our families and everything like that. So I think that we all just came back ready to, get our hands dirty.
Absolutely. Is it a little different in terms of the character growth and development with a lot of characters, whether it's Alex's or Jordan's or yours? Like, there's a lot, it's the same characters, but there's different things going on in season 2. Does it sometimes feel like a little bit of a different show, even though it's the same characters sometimes?
Yeah, so it's strange because all last year I think I had a couple scenes with Superman, but it's 2 very different shows. I feel like there's a Superman aspect and then we have the family aspect, and so Sarah's only ever really in the family aspect, and so it's really interesting being able to see what they're doing. And sometimes I don't read all the scripts just because I too kind of want to be surprised with what's going on, and I don't want to think too much about what could be happening on the opposite side. So it's definitely really strange.
Does it still hit you this time that sometimes it's a tale of 2 shows, with shows like the Superman and Lois, where it's about geek culture, comic book culture in one regard, but then in the other culture regard, it's not. It's about family and relationships. It has both those kind of elements. I feel like that just makes a lot of those shows very complex, because there's moments sometimes where it's just conversations between 2 characters of Superman and Lois where sometimes you forget it's about superheroes.
Yeah, I think Todd and the writers are doing a really good job at grounding a lot of the conversations, because I think specifically for Wole, who plays John Henry Irons, whenever we had to talk about seismic problems, and earthquakes and scientifical, and for Taylor, to talk about all that, I'm going to say metal jargon because that's what it sounds like to me. But yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit out of a comfort zone, but they nail it phenomenally, which is why it comes across so grounded and so real.
I think I asked you this last time, but I'm going to ask you the same question now, because now it's 2 seasons of playing Sarah. What's your favorite thing about stepping into the world of comic book culture and the DC universe?
I'd have to say the fans. They are so particular,
dedicated,
and extremely Did you say negative?
Dedicated. They're very dedicated.
Yes, dedicated. I thought you said negative. I was like, no, they're
no, they're not. They're great. No, they're very dedicated.
Yes, they know what they want. They voice their opinions, and they know more about this world than I do. So it's extremely important to kind of see what they have to say about certain stuff. Granted, they don't have a lot to say about Sarah because Sarah's not in the comments, but it's really interesting to see, especially when Bizarro came in. That really affected them.
Is it overwhelming to show up in a comic book world, like you just said, with playing a character that is not in the comics? I feel like that's kind of you're kind of thrown in, so to speak. You know what I mean? Is there a lot of pressure, would you say, off the bat with that?
No, not at all. I haven't felt any pressure here. I think specifically because I'm not playing a character that's in the comics.
Yeah.
So
But like, there's no
I
like the research is going to be a little different too, right?
yeah, and the research kind of has a lot to do with seeing the way that Eric and Lana play their roles respectively,
Yep.
and then figuring out what a child of them would be like.
Hmm.
And then in today's society, and then I just take what the writers give me and I try and do my best based off of that.
Absolutely. What's the best thing about like working on the show from the, maybe from like the non kind of like stunt, like the stunt perspective of things, kind of seeing everything and the explosions and everything, and then just kind of the, relationships between the characters, like maybe the more like kind of dramatic things. Like, what can you tell me about those? Because I feel like there's going to be different days on set regardless, because like those are completely different basically.
I like it when I'm able to come on set and I can kind of see all the worlds melding together. I love it when I'm able to be on set and stunts are happening, because then you get to just see people flying, people going through like the doors and walls, and like Tyler will go through a brick wall and it's kind of just like it's not brick. And so you see like his stunt double and it's kind of just like or like I'm sitting in my trailer and you just hear loud booms. So I think that's it's that.
It's so exciting to also be on a show. Like, I love the family component of the show. Last time you came on the show, you said that was evident as soon as you kind of signed on to the project, that although it's about Superman and Lois, it's kind of like family kind of takes precedence because you're meeting about his sons who we're not familiar with and everything. Is it safe to say that's still one of your favorite things about the show, being a show where it's like a comic book DC show, but family is kind of like the focal point?
It's crazy. I think that that has stayed the number one.
Yeah.
Every time in every episode every time there's a new episode, there's just more to love about the show.
Yep.
But specifically, I love the family aspect because I really love working with Emmanuel and Eric. I work the most with them. We slowly are getting my little sister Josie to kind of open up, and we'll do trivial games, we'll play riddles, we'll like do things outside of work. I mean, at work, but outside of our scenes. And then that just adds like a familiar aspect whenever we go inside. And so honestly, I'd like to say that some of our funniest family moments are actually happening off screen within our own little bubble. And so it just adds like a third little world and everything to what we do on screen.
What has been your favorite thing about seeing, like, about Sarah for season 2 specifically, whether it's storyline wise, whether it's growth wise? What do you like as like Inde Navarrette? Like, what do you like about Sarah's growth in season 2 so far?
That it's kind of twisted in a way. I mean, she cheated on Jordan. She hasn't admitted it yet. She is trying to find her way through her parents' possible divorce. She's trying to find her way with having something like a quinceañera, which is you're coming to become a woman, ruined, and having all of that trauma. But just like she hasn't gotten a moment to breathe, which I feel like is really true for 14-year-olds. If you're living the life that Sarah's living, you really don't have time to breathe. But I think you're going to see a lot of growth ending this season and building into next season, into what all of that kind of entails and what that does to a person, and whether she's going to go one way or the other.
Well, I feel like that's kind of also like the point. Every time like a show gets like a second, like another season, whether it's like going to season 2 or like, every season people kind of want one. They always want to see like even the creators, like they want to make season 1 better than season 2. That's kind of always the mindset. But we all want to see kind of the growth and development of a lot of these characters. I feel like that's kind of the thing we want to see the most. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of questions for your character and a lot of characters after season 1. So it's cool to kind of dive right back into things, right?
Yeah. No, it's wonderful to dive back in and to kind of see where she could possibly be going, because it's not one-dimensional. Sarah's not one-dimensional. She's very multi-dimensional, and it kind of freaks me out because it's like she can go in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So, she's just figuring her ish out.
Yeah. And before we wrap up too, it interests me when you're talking about, seeing Tyler out doing the stunts and everything, kind of seeing everything. No,
Yeah.
it's one of those things too. Obviously, you're focusing on because Inde Navarrette is a storyteller. That's what you do basically. But you're obviously focusing on like the acting and everything. But when you see that happening, like the stunts and like the writers and directors and everything happening, does it like motivate you or interest you in like going behind the camera one day and like making a movie or a show?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I've always wanted to act, but I knew it's not just going to stop there.
Yeah.
I've tons of work to do, but there's moments here where I get to learn and I get to ask questions and I get to just kind of see what it's like on the opposite end and kind of learn from everybody here. And especially in COVID, I mean, we just spend so much time with each other. So it's just endless questions and endless learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true with the COVID. Absolutely. And it's interesting too, because I feel like it's interesting. I feel like you kind of like have to, well, not have to wear many hats, but I feel like everyone's kind of like interested in like trying something new with the directing or writing, right? Like I'm sure like you talk to a lot of your colleagues as well. Like there's always going to be people that are interested in not just acting. I think it happens that people just want to act. Like I've had people say like on my show, acting is kind of like the main thing I want to focus on. But yeah, no, it's crazy. I think naturally you just end up kind of wearing like many hats though. Like for my show and everything, like you're doing so many different things that it's like you don't really have a choice.
No, 100%. And I think it's really important for actors to understand a director's perspective and a cinematographer's perspective the same way that they could understand ours. Because I find that directors who have once acted know how to go about it a little bit better, and 100%. Actors who have directed kind of already have this knowledge just to meet somewhere in the middle. And so there's almost a language where you can speak to each other and understand each other more, just so that it saves so much time with like the director's fear of miscommunicating, not knowing how to say something, the intimidation, and vice versa, because we're both feeling it because we get new directors versus we're the same. So it's kind of like, how do we meet in the middle? So whenever you are able to kind of dabble in that language, then you're able to fully understand each other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well said. It's a very good point. Inde, thank you so much for coming back on Popternative, catching up with Superman and Lois. This is great.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so CW, Superman Lois Season 2, I mean, they could watch that on the CW. And to keep up to date with everything on social media, I'm sure there's an Instagram account, right?
Yeah, it's just my name.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Till next time, this is Inde Navarrette and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.